is the key to being inspiring and influential. I wrote this book to help leaders simplify the complexity of organizational relationships and behavior. I want them to see that by being less fearful of the soft side and by genuinely connecting with people, their personal influence and professional success will expand dramatically. Let me tell you how I arrived at this approach and why I think it's so important. I had been hired to facilitate a group of experienced leaders drawn from different parts of the New Zealand public sector. They had been chosen after extensive assessment centre profiling and 360-degree feedback, and each one of them was headed for the C-suite. The goal was to build strong collaborative peer relationships between New Zealand leaders by sharing challenges and giving one another feedback. In those days, a facilitator was someone who provided frameworks to help conversations, kept their own opinion out of the content, and commented on the group dynamics. We were to meet for half a day each month for a year. Our group culture rapidly became interactive and collaborative. Someone would put an issue on the table, and everyone dived in, like hungry seagulls, to get a piece of the action. I sensed a problem, though. While the discussions were exemplary on strategy, the leaders avoided reflecting on their behaviour and their impact on one another. I felt we were missing the mark, me included. Several similar group initiatives were underway across New Zealand. Some facilitators chose to bring in specialists to speak on various topics. I didn't want this. Knowing the depth of experience in my group, I sensed my role was to help these leaders build their relationships. I wanted to help them shift from social interactions to work interactions. How could we, as a group, interact in ways to fulfill the group's purpose? I knew feedback wouldn't work on its own. Using such a technique in this setting would be unhelpful and come across as forced. The only way I knew from my own relationships was to focus on my observations and invite here-and-now interactions. As a systems thinker, I knew I would have many opportunities to do so. In our third session, Grant arrived late. Grant led the finance and strategy group in one of New Zealand's large government agencies. I knew he was intellectually sharp and very able. He was also the youngest senior leader in his organisation and in our group. He knocked on the door, began to enter, rolled his eyes and ducked his head down. He then made a funny offhand comment and slunk into the room. On the surface, group members greeted Grant and smiled, waiting until he sat down before continuing. I had seen something else. I watched group members grimace, look down, and visibly withdraw from Grant's entry. With this observation, everything crystallized. Immediately, I became aware of my real role in the group. I had not seen Grant and the group members act as their genuine selves. Rather, I watched Grant perform the role of the playful, diverting joker, and others respond as if they had to tolerate him. I recalled moments in our earlier sessions when some participants talked incessantly, dominated, or interrupted. Others were abrupt and abrasive, and one contributed only when invited. At such times, people would roll their eyes or flinch, yet everyone was being nice. You know, they didn't want to say anything. They acted as if they didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, as if it weren't their role to address unproductive behaviour. Yet what was happening affected the culture of our group, especially the value each person might add. I realised I had been waiting for a mandate to intervene. In that moment, I knew what this group wanted from me was my experience, help, and insight. I shifted from being a facilitator to leading as an insightful, resourceful coach. All this occurred in milliseconds. I decided to address the situation head-on, because I knew everyone was conscious of what had just occurred, yet was acting as if it hadn't. Grant sat down. The group resumed their discussion as if nothing had happened. I felt the unspoken tension. Knowing everyone's development goals, I decided to question Grant and to do this with group members. Are you interested in your colleagues' responses to you as you came in?